Good to see you again, man.
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
Pretty good. It's been a while. But I can't keep track of time these days, to be
Oh,
honest
listen,
with you.
who can? Who can? I don't know where I am.
When I found out you were joining the show, I was like, I have to speak to him again. Let's go. You know what I mean? That script to screen journey is really interesting, right? Because you read these character breakdowns, and you figure out what's happening, and a lot's happened with Gugu's character from season 1 and season 2. What's that like for you from an acting perspective, reading it and seeing it come to life on screen, so to speak?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I loved this season 2 script when I read it. It's so kind of dynamic and this a kind of a much faster pace to it, I think, than the first season. And there's also a hell of a lot more story and intrigue and mystery, particularly around the story that my character is trying to get into and write. So it was definitely a challenge trying to keep all that information in your head while you do the scenes and piece the story together, almost like a detective would. I mean, investigative journalists dynamic is very similar almost to a detective's dynamic in terms of you're putting the clues together, you're working with your witnesses, your sources and things like that. So, and then getting to see it now come to life, it looks fantastic. It's really dynamic, really sharp. It's got great energy in it. And yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Well, it's a perfect segue for my next question. It's almost like you know what I'm gonna ask you. You know, well, no, because it's interesting, right? Because especially with season 2, it really dials into this like active detective viewer, right? Like where you're really kind of engaged. You got to put your phone away. So I'm wondering. I feel like you try not to do this, but given that it is this show with these twists and turns, and you have these conversations about who could it be and what happened. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Surface while you're making it at all? Or like maybe at like lunch you're talking to some cast or like crew about like, wow, they're gonna react crazy to this. Like, do you ever think about that, or or does that happen after you wrap?
I think in a practical sense, you are in a storytelling sense that you want to obviously make sure it's always clear. You know, there's meant to be intrigue and twists and turns, but there's nothing worse than when you have an audience member go, "Oh, I completely missed that bit," or I didn't understand." Oh, and it's a complicated story, and Veronica, the writer, and her writer team did such a great job of making it feel very, very layered, but at the same time, it was always very clear. But I think, yeah, mainly, I think, you try not to think of the audience too much in that sense. But I guess if we were sitting around on set thinking of them in any sense, it would probably be just always about the clarity of the moment of like, okay, is that beat going to land? And then will this beat land? Because then there's a twist coming. And I think that's probably where you think of them, yeah.
And last question, kind of to wrap up here, and kind of what you just said. It's interesting, right? Because we know from a viewer perspective why we love stuff in that kind of whodunit, thriller, crime, that world. We love it, right? From an actor, you're kind of tackling it from a different kind of angle as well, right? Where maybe you're not thinking about a lot of that stuff and you're making it rather than watching it. So I'm just wondering, what is it like being part of that world, of the thriller, of the whodunit, of the crime mystery at a time where there's a really big appetite from a viewer perspective?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm such a massive fan of them, and it is important to, when you go into work, to sort of put aside the sort of inner childhood thrill of being in it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you really do, in spite of yourself, you have to put that away a little bit. And then I think, to be fair, as an actor, then you do just get to, you can be very selfish in a good way, that you are really just thinking about Callum. What's he going through? What's his mindset in any given moment? So thankfully, that kind of selfishness kicks in, that you're like, okay, well, I can put that excitement and appreciation of the set and how everything looks and feels, and put that away, and then you become quite laser focused on what he needs to achieve in a moment, or what he's about to receive and react to. And you got to keep that really, really natural, because there is nothing worse than watching something and it's really fun to enjoy something as an actor, but if you're enjoying it too much, then the audience aren't, and that's the reality. So you've got to stay truthful, basically, in the moment. That's it.
That's well said. I'm a filmmaker, so I think about these things sometimes. But like, season 2 of Surface on Apple TV Plus. I can't wait for people to check it out. Gavin, so great chatting with you again. Thanks so much for some time.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, man. We'll see you again.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.